Viewer Anon just gave us some tasty information about Scream 6. Also, I have a little bit of a theory on who I think the opening kill might be. Let's get into this.
What's your favorite scary movie? Amen.
We'll tear your soul apart.
Well, Pennywise the dancing now.
We're gonna get you. Oh, Lord on the beast!
God, don't do that.
But sometimes death is better.
Hey everybody, what's up? KillJoy Jake here, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. Today we're talking a little bit about Scream 6, giving a little bit of an update on some information that viewer Anon has given us, some stuff that I'm okay with reporting on, and I'm going to tell you why in a second here. First, of course, if you're new here, I would greatly appreciate you guys subscribing to this page and liking this video. It really helps this little channel grow, means a lot to me. Thank you if you already have. So getting into this, viewer Anon, who is this random Twitter user who kind of like leaks information about movies. Most of the time it's stuff that isn't like that big of a spoiler, just like little casting information, things like that in between. I will admit, in the past, I have said maybe don't check out his page if you're a Scream fan, just so you don't get things spoiled. But viewer Anon has actually taken to Twitter and clarified everything that he would be willing to talk about on his page. In a tweet, this person said, "Been asked a lot of fun Scream 6 questions, but I won't feel comfortable talking specifics until there's a cut. I will say that from what I've heard and believe, they're playing with the format a bit more this time, and it feels less safe for the characters and movie than 3 through 5. As we get closer to release and I learn more things, the same rules will apply as Scream 2022. While I might talk about the plot or cool interesting scenes, I'll never spoil deaths and I'll never spoil the killer/killers. And this time around, I'll never talk deaths, killers/killers, and motives with people in the know, just in case my DMs get posted elsewhere." This is something I had gotten wind of when Scream 2022 had come out, and I think I did a video saying something along the lines of maybe just avoid this person's page for the time being, because I was hearing some stuff coming out. I actually had him blocked for a little while, but I have some mad respect for the guy now. Whoever this is, mad respect if you're watching this video. Probably not, but I actually respect the fact that you may or may not know the answers to this question, but you're choosing not to put those things out there. This is going to come off as really cheesy, but with great power comes great responsibility, and I think this is a testament to that. But going off of a few things viewer Anon said here is changing up the format, which is something I have especially been wanting to see for a while, because man, all 5 Scream movies are the exact same formula with the exact same format, and it's starting to get a little repetitive. I was really hoping for some big changes in Scream 5, and I'll be honest, when the first time I saw Dewey die in Scream 5, I was really excited because I'm like, okay, this is going to be something different, finally. Like, okay, we might have had a character die, whatever, but I was kind of hoping like, okay, now it has to go, it's going to be forced to go somewhere else this time around. We're finally going to get something new. Well, the third act was essentially the same thing as the original. You have the reveal, and it's in the kitchen, and I don't know, man. It just felt like same old, that third act. I still enjoyed it. I really liked Amber's reveal. I thought that was one of the best reveals in the entire Scream franchise, if not my favorite. Gotta say that, hot take there, but I loved Amber's reveal. It's one of my favorite scenes across the entire franchise. An easy top 5 scene for me. But if Scream 6 can purposefully change up the format to make it interesting and different again, you know, not just doing it for just to do it, like do it with a point, have a point to change up the formula, do it in a new way that seems inventive and completely different from anything else from the past, with a purpose, of course, then hell yes, I'm so down for that, absolutely. If they just keep giving us the same thing over and over again, I'm gonna lose interest pretty quick. But with all the news we're getting about Scream 6, I'm really excited about it. I mean, the fact that we're changing up the setting, we have a whole, like a bunch of new characters, there's so many positive things about this film that really I think is going to make this one stand out across the board against the other sequels. This has the potential to be the best Scream sequel. It does. I know some people are totally against that idea right now, but I'm telling you, this is going to be such a different entry into the franchise. This is going to be something that is truly either going to stick out in a good way or a bad way. No matter what though, I'm telling you, this sequel is going to stick out one way or the other. Another thing viewer Anon says though is that it feels less safe than movies 3 through 5, which feel 3 and 5 feel very safe. I don't know about 4 feeling safe. That's maybe a bit of a stretch. But 3 and 5 are kind of safer films. They're much more tame than I would have expected in totally different ways. Like 3 really chills it down with the horror element. It's barely alive in 3, I think. It's still fun. It's basically just PG-13 Scooby-Doo, but I like 3. It's still fun. I think there's elements of it that are really cool and wrap up the story of Sidney Prescott's whole little arc nicely. And that's cool. I enjoy that. Story-wise, Scream 3 is pretty awesome, but horror movie-wise, it's meh. Scream 5 is oddly the exact opposite of Scream 3. Like, it really ups the horror ante a lot. Like, you get some of the most brutal kills across the board from any other Scream movie, but it doesn't really do much to further the overall plot, which I think is what a lot of people took issue with the last Scream film. I was okay with it personally because they were trying to introduce new characters. That was like kind of the whole point of this last Scream film, and I'm okay with that. I think they did a pretty decent job at establishing new characters. There's a lot more work they have to do character development wise in this new film, but I still love Scream 5 and I still love Scream 3 for totally different reasons. Viewer Anon was also the same person who said that Neve Campbell will be coming back for Scream 6 as well. And the only reason I'm trusting this third-party source is because he has been right about stuff in the past, including information on Scream 2022. If you remember in Scream 2022, when Ghostface uses the voice changer thing in the hospital, viewer Anon actually confirmed that before, way prior to the movie's release. This was when we were getting like set photos, behind the scenes pictures or whatever back in like, I want to say like August or July of last year. So like a year ago, essentially. He confirmed that before that was even a thing. So yes, I do feel like we can probably trust viewer Anon, but with everything I report on here, that isn't necessarily 100% like, hey, Deadline's reporting on this or whatever. I do want to say, just still take this with a grain of salt. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But it's very likely to happen. Another thing I want to talk about real quickly is Mason Gooding, who is surprisingly not on the cast list when you look up Scream 6 on Google. Now, Google surprisingly is not a reliable source. Sometimes you can't just look up stuff like a cast list or like where to watch something, and it doesn't give you all the options. Sometimes it doesn't give you all the cast members, so it's not exactly super reliable. But I do find it interesting that you do have his sister, Jasmine Savoy Brown, Mindy Meeks' character, listed underneath Scream 6, but you don't have Chad. You don't have Chad Meeks Martin. Now, why could that be? Why would he not be listed under the Google page for Scream 6? Well, maybe it's because Mason Gooding's the opening kill. There has been a lot of speculation towards this, and surprisingly, Kirby Reed's character, which we're going to get into that in a minute. But I want to talk about Mason Gooding's character, the pros and the cons of killing him at the very beginning of this movie, because I still think it's very controversial. There's one big positive to killing Mason Gooding's character at the very beginning of this movie. It would easily bring all of these characters back together to go up against a new Ghostface killer, and you wouldn't have to kill another legacy character like Gale, for instance, or Dewey, you know, just for the purpose of bringing back characters on screen, which I still have not forgiven the writers of the last film for. But I do think that this would bring everyone together real nicely, and you wouldn't have to do like a whole bunch of explaining throughout the first 2 acts of your movie to bring everybody together in the 3rd act. It got a little iffy in Scream 5. So if they were to do this just real quick, nice and neat, get everybody together working on the case again, that would be nice, I think. The con, though, is you can't develop his character with Mindy. So it would be a little harder to develop Mindy's character, but there's also kind of a positive in all of this, because you could also have Mindy's character team up with Kirby, or maybe they butt heads a little bit and they kind of like fight and argue, because essentially Kirby's the same character as Mindy if you think about it. So you could actually have Kirby mentoring Mindy, and maybe she's right about some stuff that Mindy's a little more naive towards. She's younger. I mean, that's just how a relationship like this would go, and it might be cool to see Mindy's character grow through that. The other element to this is that if they keep Chad alive with Mindy, you might have like kind of the same storyline going on between them as you do with Tara and Sam. It might be a little too similar, so to have something different and to spice it up like this, to have a character like Kirby come in and like mentor Mindy a little bit, because she's like, oh, I see myself in you, or something like that. You know, that kind of relationship. That would be interesting and different than like siblings, again, because you already have like some kind of sibling relationship at the forefront of this story. So maybe in the side, like to the side with other characters, you could have Kirby and Mindy kind of doing this little mentor thing back and forth. It could be nice. It could be fun. It could be different than anything we've seen in the past, to have 2 characters who are essentially the same character, the Randy, essentially, basically go back and forth like this. It could be fun. I think it would be different, and it would be a cool thing to really focus on in this movie, and make it one of the geekiest Scream films of all time, which is something I'm sure a lot of us would love to see. I mean, just imagine their banter back and forth about horror movies and how fun that could be. That is just like, that's easy. That writes itself. I mean, oh my god, you could type that up all day. That just going back and forth about like they have like shit horror movie opinions or something, or maybe they're crapping on the other one for having a bad opinion. Like there's so much they could do with that. But this is all just the opinion of some greasy guy on the internet. What do you guys think? Leave me something about it in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching this new Scream 6 update video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more horror content. Also, if you want to support this channel further, please make sure to support me on Patreon or become a channel member by clicking that join button on my page. Thank you guys so much for watching again, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.